Xuan Hamilton, affectionately known as Coco, was not just a person but a vibrant force, a beloved member of her community, known for her infectious energy and captivating performances. Today, we delve into the poignant and tragic story of Coco, a transgender woman whose life was brutally cut short. Her tale is not just a narrative of loss but a reflection on love, identity, and the harsh realities faced by many in the transgender community. Imagine a love so intense yet shrouded in secrecy, a love that was never meant to see the light of day and ended not with a gentle goodbye but with violence. Today, we explore the chilling case of Coco, whose life was tragically taken by someone she once trusted and loved. What drove this hidden romance into the shadows, and how did it unravel so catastrophically? Before we proceed, I want to express my gratitude to each of you for being here. If you're new to our channel, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing to stay informed about more compelling true crime stories like this one. Xuan Hamilton, known affectionately as Coco, was from St. Mark, Haiti but relocated to Greensboro, North Carolina, a city renowned for its vibrant culture and strong community values. Her family was a tight-knit group, providing a home filled with love, laughter, and acceptance. This nurturing environment allowed Coco to feel truly seen and valued, which became a fundamental part of her identity. From a young age, Coco showed a remarkable talent for creativity. Her family fondly recalls her transforming their living room into a stage, where she would captivate them with impromptu dances and dramatic storytelling. These were not merely child's play, they were Coco's early expressions of herself, sharing her colorful inner world with those she loved. As Coco grew, she began to understand her identity as a transgender woman. This realization was both liberating and challenging. Greensboro's cultural environment offered inspiration and obstacles, with its progressive art scene contrasting against more traditional societal norms. This mix required Coco to navigate a path filled with both support and adversity. During her teenage years, Coco embarked on a profound journey toward self-acceptance. Despite facing discrimination and prejudice, she remained resilient. She found a supportive network within Greensboro's LGBTQ+ community, where she connected with others who shared her experiences and dreams. These connections gave her strength, helping her embrace her identity with courage and pride. The ballroom scene became a crucial part of Coco's life. This vibrant subculture, known for celebrating diversity and self-expression, became a sanctuary for her. Participating in ballroom events was not just about performance, it was a declaration of self-acceptance and authenticity. Her presence was magnetic, inspiring others to embrace their true selves. Beyond her personal journey, Coco made significant contributions to her community. She became a passionate advocate for LGBTQ+ rights, using her voice to fight for equality and inclusion. Her role in organizing local pride events highlighted her commitment to creating a world where everyone felt accepted and valued. Through these efforts, Coco provided a platform for marginalized voices, fostering a sense of belonging and understanding. Coco was also a mentor to young LGBTQ+ individuals. Understanding the power of representation, she shared her story openly, encouraging others to live authentically. Her mentorship extended beyond the ballroom, as she worked tirelessly to create safe spaces for dialogue and support within her community. Coco's efforts were transformative, leaving a lasting impact on those she mentored and the community at large. Coco's life and work made her a symbol of strength and authenticity. Her legacy is a testament to the power of love, acceptance, and the courage to live one's truth. Those who knew her speak of her with admiration, recalling her as a beacon of joy and a fierce advocate for those who felt marginalized. Her story continues to inspire, reminding us all of the importance of embracing our identities and supporting one another in our journeys toward self-acceptance. Coco's relationship with Jeremy, a sport analyst amidst other things, began at a local ballroom event, a place full of energy and acceptance. Jeremy, drawn by a friend curious about the culture, was immediately captivated by Coco's performance. Her grace and charisma on stage were undeniable, and their eyes met in a fleeting but powerful connection. This encounter set the stage for a deeply emotional yet complex relationship. Their early interactions were filled with excitement and passion typical of new love. They spent many evenings sharing intimate conversations, exploring mutual interests, and building a foundation of trust and affection. Coco was attracted to Jeremy's charm and kindness, while Jeremy admired Coco's authenticity and courage. However, Jeremy had a girlfriend and a daughter, which added complexity to their relationship. As their relationship progressed, Coco and Jeremy faced the reality of their differing life experiences and societal pressures. Jeremy, identifying as bisexual, struggled with fear of societal judgment and the potential impact on his life if their relationship became public. This fear led him to keep their bond a secret, which weighed heavily on Coco, who valued openness and honesty. The secrecy surrounding their relationship introduced a layer of complexity that affected both partners emotionally and psychologically. For Coco, the hidden nature of their love was a source of pain and frustration. She longed for a relationship that could be celebrated openly, one where she and Jeremy could freely express their love. The need to conceal their bond conflicted with her desire for authenticity and transparency. For Jeremy, the fear of judgment and rejection created a barrier between him and his true feelings for Coco. He was caught between his love for her and societal expectations. This internal conflict often led to moments of tension and misunderstanding, as Jeremy grappled with his identity and the implications of their relationship on his life. Coco's friends observed the strain that secrecy placed on her, noting how it sometimes dimmed her vibrant spirit. They saw the toll it took on her emotional well-being, as she navigated the complexity of loving someone not ready to embrace their relationship publicly. Despite these challenges, Coco's love for Jeremy remained strong, characterized by empathy and understanding of his struggles. Experts in relationship dynamics often highlight the challenges faced by couples where one or both partners have hidden identities. The need to conceal such an integral part of one's life can lead to feelings of isolation, anxiety, and emotional distress. In Coco and Jeremy's case, these dynamics were further complicated by the societal stigma surrounding both their identities and their relationship. Despite the challenges, there were moments of profound connection and joy between Coco and Jeremy. They shared dreams for a future where they could live openly and without fear. However, the persistent secrecy and fear ultimately created a rift that became increasingly difficult to bridge. Coco's friends often reflected on her resilience and her ability to find joy even in difficult circumstances. They admired her capacity to love deeply and unconditionally, even when faced with the complexities of a hidden relationship. Her story, and the dynamics of her relationship with Jeremy, serve as a poignant reminder of the emotional and psychological challenges faced by many in similar situations. Keeping a relationship secret can make people feel very stressed and worried. When people hide their love from others, it can feel like carrying a heavy secret all the time. This can make them feel alone and sad because they can't share their happiness with friends or family. People often keep relationships secret because they are scared of what others might think or say. They might worry that others won't accept them or will treat them badly. This can make them feel like they have to pretend to be someone else, which is really hard and can make them feel upset or confused inside. Think about how it feels when you have to keep something important to you a secret. It's not easy, right? We want you to think about how society's opinions can affect relationships. Have you ever seen or felt what it's like when people can't show their true feelings because they're worried about what others might think? How can we all help make the world a place where everyone can love who they want openly and without fear? We'd love to hear what you think, so please share your thoughts in the comments. Coco Hamilton, who also loved to be called Quenisha Chantel, was a wonderful person known for her joy and talent in the ballroom and drag communities. Sadly, on November 15, 2024, something very tragic happened to her in Greensboro, North Carolina. Before this terrible event, Coco had been in a relationship with Jeremy Reynolds. Coco ended the relationship 4 months earlier because it wasn't working out. Unfortunately, Jeremy was very upset about the breakup and had a hard time accepting it. Jeremy, who had a girlfriend and a daughter, invited Coco over to talk about the breakup. During this meeting, in a tragic turn of events, he shot her multiple times. Despite her injuries, Coco tried to drive away but crashed her car on Guilford College Road near Britford Parkway, where she was later found by police. This shocking and heartbreaking event deeply saddened everyone who knew Coco. When people heard about Coco's death, they were extremely sad and upset. Her family and friends missed her very much and remembered her as someone who was full of life and kindness. They shared stories about how she made everyone smile and how she was always true to herself. The community where Coco was loved and celebrated came together to honor her memory. They held gatherings to remember all the good things about Coco and to support each other during this difficult time. People talked about how important it is to love and accept everyone and to make sure the world is a safe place for people like Coco. Coco's story reminds us all of the need to be kind and caring to one another, and her memory continues to inspire people to work towards a more loving world. In the quiet courthouse, people gathered with heavy hearts to hear the case of Xuan, Coco Hamilton. Coco was a lively and joyful young woman who was loved by many for her bright spirit and her performances in the ballroom community. Her sudden and tragic death left everyone who knew her in deep sorrow. Jeremy Reynolds was arrested and charged with first-degree murder for Coco's death. This is a very serious charge because it means that the police and lawyers believe Jeremy planned to harm Coco. The case against him began with the prosecutor explaining these serious charges to the court, making it clear that this was about seeking justice for Coco. As the trial went on, the courtroom was filled with strong emotions like anger and sadness. Coco's family and friends shared stories about her, remembering how she made everyone smile and how brave she was in being herself. These stories showed just how much Coco meant to everyone who knew her. Legal experts also talked about how this case was important not only for Coco but also for everyone facing similar situations. They explained that transgender people often face special dangers, especially when their relationships are kept secret. This case was a reminder that more needs to be done to protect and understand people like Coco. Jeremy's lawyers tried to tell a different story, trying to make the jury question the charges against him. But throughout the trial, the main focus was on finding justice for Coco and making sure her story would lead to positive changes. As the trial ended, everyone was reminded of the need to keep working for a safer and kinder world for transgender people. Coco's case became a call to action for everyone to treat each other with respect and love, no matter who they are. In the end, Coco's story was more than just a legal case. It was a powerful reminder of her lively spirit and the impact she had on those around her. Her memory continues to inspire people to push for a world where everyone is treated equally and with kindness. As we explore the case of Coco Hamilton, various experts, including legal specialists, psychologists, and criminologists, share their insights on the broader significance of this tragic event. They highlight how it underscores the vulnerabilities faced by transgender individuals, especially in relationships that are hidden or not fully accepted by society. The charges of first-degree murder in this case emphasize the urgent need for justice, not only for Coco but for all victims of intimate partner violence. This case serves as a wake-up call for society to understand and address these pressing issues more effectively. Coco's story, sadly, is not an isolated one. Statistics reveal that transgender individuals, particularly transgender women of color, face a high risk of violence. In 2023 alone, at least 40 transgender or gender nonconforming people were killed in the United States, with many cases remaining unsolved. These numbers highlight the pervasive nature of such violence, and stories like Coco's underline the need for urgent change. Advocacy groups continue to work tirelessly to push for stronger legal protections and reforms. These efforts include advocating for anti-discrimination laws and better training for law enforcement to handle cases involving transgender victims with the sensitivity and understanding they deserve. In response to Coco's tragic death, her community has come together in powerful ways to honor her memory and advocate for change. Memorials and vigils have been held to celebrate her life, bringing together friends, family, and allies to mourn her loss and take a stand against violence. Advocacy campaigns have been launched to raise awareness about the challenges faced by transgender individuals and to push for greater acceptance and equality. The community encourages everyone to get involved, whether by participating in local events, supporting national LGBTQ+ organizations, or simply educating themselves and others about these critical issues. Together, they hope to create a safer and more inclusive world for all. Coco's friends and family share personal reflections, painting a picture of a person who was full of life and love. They remember her laughter, her artistry in the ballroom scene, and her unwavering courage to be herself. Coco's legacy is one of inspiration, urging others to live authentically and stand up for what is right. As we reflect on Coco's story, we are encouraged to consider our own roles in promoting acceptance and understanding. Each of us can make a difference by fostering environments of kindness and respect and by standing as allies to those who need our support. The story of Coco Hamilton is a call to action. It emphasizes the importance of continued advocacy for transgender rights and the need for systemic changes to ensure safety and equality for all people, regardless of their gender identity. We are reminded of the power of love and acceptance and urged to be proactive allies in our communities. By engaging with these issues and supporting efforts for change, we can honor Coco's memory and work towards a future where everyone is free to live their lives with dignity and respect. Let us carry forward her legacy by committing to a world where love and acceptance triumph over hate and violence. If you found this content insightful and want to support the cause, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Your engagement helps us continue to spread awareness and advocate for positive change. Thank you for being part of this journey towards a more inclusive world.
First of all, take a flick. Take a flick. Come on, take a flick.
Yeah, I got Bel Air and Casa as a whole.
We want the suspect to know that the no-snitch policy will never protect you in our community, that we're coming for you, we're looking for you, and we'll leave no stone unturned in trying to find out your whereabouts. But at the end of the day, we want this brother to know we will not rest until you're held accountable for this crime. And this was a wicked crime and a crime against women and a crime against humanity.
February 7th, 2023. Sam Houston National Forest, Texas. The morning mist clung to the pine trees like secrets refusing to surface. A maintenance worker navigated the familiar trails, his routine disrupted by something that shouldn't be there, a torn garbage bag, its contents spilling onto the forest floor. What he discovered would end an 11-month nightmare for one family while confirming their worst fears. Human skeletal remains. The size suggested a young woman. The location, just miles from where a bloodied cell phone had been found nearly a year earlier, told investigators exactly whose daughter had finally come home. But this story doesn't begin in that forest. It begins with hope, with dreams, with a young woman named Felicia Johnson who believed her 24th birthday deserved a celebration worthy of the life she was building. It begins in San Diego, California, where a father kissed his daughter goodbye, never imagining those would be their final words. It begins with a trip to Houston, a city of opportunity that would become something else entirely. The question that haunted investigators wasn't just what happened to Felicia Johnson. It was how a birthday celebration became a father's worst nightmare. How a young woman's pursuit of opportunity led her into the path of a predator, and how a case that should have been solved in days stretched into nearly a year of anguish. Tonight, we follow that trail, From a San Diego apartment where dreams were born, to a Houston nightclub where they were rejected, to an apartment where they died, and finally to a forest where the truth could no longer stay buried. This is the story of Felicia Johnson. This is the story of how a system failed her twice, once when she was alive and needed protection, and once when she was missing and needed to be found. But above all, this is the story of a family's refusal to let their daughter become just another statistic. 3,000 miles from that Texas forest, in the sun-soaked neighborhoods of San Diego, Felicia Marie Johnson had always been the light that filled every room. Her father Kevin would later tell investigators that she was the exact copy of her paternal grandmother, sweet, kind, and always smiling. At 24, Felicia carried herself with the confidence of someone who knew where she was headed. Her social media presence under the name Fivia Marie wasn't vanity. It was a portfolio. Every carefully curated photo, every thoughtfully crafted post was a stepping stone toward the modeling career she dreamed of since childhood. She understood the mathematics of aspiration. Thousands of young women dreamed of modeling, but only a precious few would make it. Felicia wasn't deterred by those odds. She meticulously maintained her appearance, practiced her poses, and submitted applications to agencies with the persistence of someone who believed in herself when others might have given up. The Johnson family dynamics had shaped her resilience. After her parents' divorce, Kevin had raised 3 children largely on his own before remarrying Myra. Felicia, the eldest, had learned early to be independent, to chase her dreams with determination rather than wait for opportunities to find her. Her feminine confidence had drawn attention from a young age, but Felicia had learned to navigate that attention on her own terms. She wasn't naive about the world. She was strategic about her place in it. Social media wasn't just entertainment. It was business. Her image wasn't just personal expression. It was professional development. When April 2022 arrived with her 24th birthday, Felicia saw it as more than just another year. 24 felt significant, old enough to be taken seriously, young enough to still be discovering herself. She'd celebrated with family in San Diego, surrounded by love and laughter, but something in her spirit craved more. Houston called to her like a distant melody. The sprawling Texas metropolis represented everything San Diego couldn't offer. New opportunities, fresh connections, different agencies that might see what others had missed. It was a city where dreams were built on ambition rather than connections, where a young woman with enough determination could write her own story. The decision to extend her birthday celebration with a solo trip to Houston wasn't impulsive. It was calculated hope. If she found work, she could stay longer. If she made the right connections, she could build something lasting. Felicia Johnson packed her bags with the same meticulous care she brought to everything else, never imagining she was packing for a journey from which she would never return. April 13th, 2022. Felicia Johnson stepped off the plane at Houston's Intercontinental Airport with the confidence of someone about to change her life. She'd spent weeks planning this trip, researching neighborhoods, scouting opportunities, building a mental map of a city she'd never seen but somehow felt destined for. Houston sprawled before her like an unwritten story. Named after General Sam Houston, the hero who'd won Texas its independence, the city carried that same spirit of bold reinvention. For Felicia, it represented the kind of fresh start that California couldn't offer. New agencies, different standards of beauty, opportunities that might recognize what others had overlooked. She checked into her hotel in the medical center district and immediately began working her network. Social media connections led to local contacts. Local contacts pointed toward opportunities. Within days, she'd identified CoverGirls Entertainment, a nightclub in Northwest Houston that hired dancers. April 15th, Friday evening. Felicia arrived at CoverGirls with the same preparation she brought to every audition: carefully chosen outfit, practiced confidence, professional demeanor. The interview was brief. The rejection was swift. The manager's reasons were never fully explained, but Felicia had faced rejection before. This was part of the process, not the end of it. Outside the club, waiting for her ride, Felicia encountered opportunity in an unexpected form. Her Uber was delayed. Houston traffic, driver confusion, the usual complications of a sprawling city. A man approached, offering assistance. His name was Chukwuebuka Nwobodo, 28 years old, Nigerian-American, Houston-raised. He seemed harmless enough, friendly even. The ride to her hotel became a conversation. The conversation became a connection on Snapchat. The connection became a proposition that would seal Felicia's fate. By Saturday morning, they'd arranged to meet again. $500 for intimate services. A transaction that Felicia agreed to with the same calculated decision-making she applied to everything else in her life. This wasn't desperation, it was pragmatism. This wasn't victimization, it was choice. What Felicia couldn't have known was that Chukwuebuka Nwobodo had been preparing for this moment in ways she could never have imagined. His internet search history would later reveal a mind obsessed with violence, with murder, with the mechanics of making people disappear. Saturday, April 16, 2022, 3 a.m. Felicia took an Uber that Chukwuebuka had ordered for her, traveling from her hotel to his address on Winchase Boulevard. She would never be seen alive again. Friday evening, April 15th. Felicia's last call to her family was filled with the usual excitement, updates about her trip, impressions of Houston, plans for the weekend. Her voice carried that familiar energy her father Kevin had heard countless times before. Everything seemed normal. Saturday morning brought silence. No text messages, no social media posts, no Instagram stories from a young woman who documented her life with religious consistency. For someone whose digital presence was as reliable as sunrise, Felicia Johnson had simply vanished from the online world. By Saturday afternoon, that silence had transformed from unusual to alarming. Kevin Johnson knew his daughter's patterns better than anyone. She understood how worry consumed him when she traveled, and she'd never willingly put him through that anxiety. Something was wrong. While most families might wait the traditional 24 hours before panicking, Kevin's paternal instincts overrode social conventions. He hired a private investigator immediately, a decision that would prove crucial in the coming days. Within hours, the investigator had pinged Felicia's cell phone location, Bear Creek Park, a sprawling wilderness area in northwest Houston, miles from the nightclub where she'd last been seen. The phone lay abandoned near the roadside, its screen cracked, its surface stained with blood that would later be confirmed as Felicia's. The discovery shattered any remaining hope that this might be a simple miscommunication or dead battery. Kevin Johnson was on a plane to Houston before sunset. The man who arrived at Houston Police Department on Sunday morning was a father transformed by desperation. Kevin filed the missing person report with the urgency of someone who understood that every hour mattered, but the response he received would haunt him for months to come. In Kevin's later account, the officers seemed less than motivated once they learned about Felicia's background. A young black woman who'd been seeking work in adult entertainment, the case appeared to slot into a familiar category that didn't inspire immediate action. The first search of Bear Creek Park was conducted with what Kevin described as insufficient enthusiasm. The search team seemed to expect failure before they began. The park's vastness, thousands of acres of dense forest, winding trails, and impenetrable brush made thorough searching nearly impossible without significant resources. Those resources weren't immediately forthcoming. While police conducted their cursory search, Kevin began his own campaign. Flyers appeared throughout the park featuring Felicia's photograph and description. Local residents studied her face, memorized her details, and began their own unofficial search efforts. But as days turned into weeks, One truth became undeniable. Felicia Johnson had encountered something in Houston that her family's worst nightmares couldn't have prepared them for. The breakthrough came through the digital breadcrumbs that modern life inevitably leaves behind. While Kevin Johnson distributed flyers and volunteers combed through Bear Creek Park, detectives began reconstructing Felicia's final hours through cell phone records, surveillance footage, and Uber transaction logs. The timeline that emerged was both precise and terrifying. April 16th, 3 a.m. Uber records showed a ride from Felicia's hotel in the medical center to 3200 Winchase Boulevard, an address that didn't belong to Chukwuebuka Nwobodo, but where he'd previously lived. Security cameras captured him picking her up in his personal vehicle, a detail that suggested careful planning rather than spontaneous encounter. 3:45 a.m. Traffic cameras tracked his car traveling to his current apartment on South Richmond Avenue. Felicia Johnson, alive and unaware, disappeared into a building she would never leave. 4:47 a.m. The same cameras recorded Chukwuebuka's vehicle leaving the apartment complex, alone. 5:15 a.m. Cell tower pings placed Felicia's phone near Bear Creek Park, miles from the apartment, at the exact location where it would later be discovered. But the most chilling evidence emerged from Chukwuebuka's actions in the following days. April 16th and 17th surveillance footage from multiple stores painted the picture of a man methodically preparing for concealment. Walmart, Home Depot, a shopping list that read like a blueprint for horror. Industrial-strength trash bags, latex gloves, a mechanical saw, towels, a flashlight powerful enough for night work. Each purchase deliberate, each item serving a purpose that investigators could piece together with sickening clarity. Hospital records added another crucial detail. On the morning of April 16th, Chukwuebuka sought treatment for a deep cut on his right hand, claiming he'd injured himself opening boxes. Surveillance footage from his shopping trips showed him wearing bandages, evidence that Felicia had fought back. Most disturbing of all was his internet search history, a digital confession of premeditated violence. Beginning April 20th, his Google searches revealed a mind obsessed with murder. How to be a serial killer. Does bleach destroy DNA? How to get away with murder. 15 cheapest places to live in the world. Each search represented calculated preparation. Each query revealed someone planning not just murder, but escape. By May 13th, investigators had enough evidence to obtain search warrants for his vehicle and apartment. What they found would confirm their worst suspicions about Felicia's fate. But by then, their suspect had vanished into the shadows of a city with 4 million places to hide. May 13th, 2022. The search warrants executed on Chukwuebuka Nwobodo's apartment and vehicle would reveal evidence so overwhelming that even the most skeptical investigators could no longer doubt Felicia's fate. The apartment told a story written in blood. Forensic luminol revealed extensive bloodstains throughout the bedroom and hallway, far too much for someone to survive. DNA analysis would later confirm what investigators already suspected. This was Felicia Johnson's blood, marking the place where her life had ended. His vehicle provided equally damning evidence. In the trunk and back seat, investigators discovered additional bloodstains matching Felicia's DNA. The car had become a mobile crime scene, transporting evidence of violence from apartment to disposal site. But the contents of his vehicle revealed the calculated nature of his crimes. A 9mm pistol, latex gloves, a large kitchen knife, and a shovel. These weren't tools of opportunity. They were implements of premeditation. The most horrifying discovery came from his confiscated cell phone. Hidden in his photo gallery were images that investigators would never forget. Pictures of dismembered human bodies, including at least one woman whose remains had been methodically photographed. While they couldn't definitively identify the victims in these images, the photos represented a trophy collection of unimaginable violence. These discoveries painted the picture of someone who had killed before and documented his crimes with the detachment of a researcher cataloging specimens. Background checks revealed another troubling pattern. Years earlier, a woman had reported that Chukwuebuka had attempted to sexually assault her, trying to force her into his car. She had managed to escape, but later recanted her statement and refused to press charges, a detail that investigators now viewed through a darker lens. By the time this evidence emerged, however, their suspect had vanished. The man who had been arrested for a traffic violation and released was now officially charged with murder and tampering with evidence, but he was nowhere to be found. Community activists, led by Quanell X, began applying public pressure that police had failed to generate themselves. The case that had languished in bureaucratic indifference suddenly found itself under media scrutiny and community oversight. A $5,000 reward was offered for information leading to Chukwuebuka's arrest. Vigils were held for Felicia in both San Diego and Houston. Her father's grief began transforming into a public crusade for justice that would refuse to be ignored. But as summer turned to fall, one truth became inescapable. A predator remained free while a family waited for justice that seemed increasingly elusive. Summer 2022 melted into fall, then winter, then spring again. For most of Houston, life continued its relentless forward momentum. But for Kevin Johnson, time had stopped on April 16th. Trapped in an endless loop of unanswered questions and unbearable possibilities, the toll on Kevin's mental health became impossible to hide. Depression settled over him like a physical weight. Post-traumatic stress disorder manifested in sleepless nights and sudden panic attacks. Anxiety became his constant companion. Hypertension required medication he'd never needed before. The man who had flown to Houston with determination was slowly being consumed by a grief that had nowhere to go. Yet Kevin refused to surrender to despair. He transformed his pain into purpose, becoming a relentless advocate for his daughter's case. When police attention waned, he organized community searches. When media interest faded, he held press conferences. When bureaucracy stalled, he demanded action. Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee became an unexpected ally, using her political influence to keep pressure on law enforcement. Felicia came to Houston as a guest, she declared at one public gathering, and we were obligated to ensure her safety. The community that had initially seemed indifferent began to rally. Vigils were held in Bear Creek Park, where dozens of people who had never met Felicia gathered to honor her memory and support her family. Candles flickered in the darkness as strangers became advocates, united by the belief that every life deserved justice. In San Diego, Felicia's friends organized their own memorial gatherings. Social media filled with remembrances of her infectious laugh, her unwavering optimism, her dreams that had seemed so achievable just months before. The young woman who had documented her life so thoroughly left behind a digital legacy that kept her memory vivid and immediate. Throughout this ordeal, Kevin clung to a dual hope that was both sustaining and torturous. Part of him hoped Felicia was somehow still alive, held against her will, but surviving. Another part hoped for the closure that would come with finding her remains and being able to lay her to rest properly. As February 2023 approached, nearly 11 months since Felicia's disappearance, Kevin had learned to live with uncertainty as a permanent condition. He had no way of knowing that his long wait was about to end, or that the answer would come from a maintenance worker's routine discovery in the piney woods of Montgomery County. February 7th, 2023. The maintenance worker who discovered the torn garbage bag in Sam Houston National Forest had no way of knowing he was about to end a family's longest nightmare. The skeletal remains were sparse, only the upper portion of a torso, but they carried enough evidence for immediate identification. Jewelry that Felicia's family recognized, clothing fragments that matched what she'd been wearing, a location that aligned perfectly with cell phone pings from nearly 11 months earlier. When the call came to Kevin Johnson, he was prepared for the worst, but still unprepared for the reality. His daughter was coming home, but not in any way he could have imagined during those desperate early days when he still believed rescue was possible. The forensic identification process through dental records felt both impossibly slow and mercifully quick. Days of waiting compressed into a single moment of confirmation. These were the remains of Felicia Marie Johnson, age 24, missing since April 16, 2022. The discovery raised as many questions as it answered. The remains were incomplete. Animals or the killer himself might have scattered other parts throughout the vast forest. The cause of death couldn't be determined from what remained, though the circumstances left no doubt that Felicia had been murdered. Kevin's statement to the media carried a mixture of relief and renewed determination. "My daughter has returned to seek justice." The man who had spent nearly a year in limbo now had a different kind of mission. Felicia could finally be laid to rest with the dignity she deserved, but her killer remained free. The community response was immediate and overwhelming. The case that had faded from headlines suddenly demanded renewed attention. Vigils resumed with increased intensity. The reward fund grew. Social media campaigns spread Chukwuebuka Nwobodo's photograph across platforms, turning thousands of ordinary citizens into unofficial investigators. For Kevin Johnson, the discovery brought a complex emotional resolution. The uncertainty that had been slowly destroying his mental health was finally over, replaced by a grief that was somehow more manageable because it was definitive. He could mourn his daughter properly now, could plan a memorial service, could begin the long process of healing. But first, there was still justice to pursue. Chukwuebuka Nwobodo remained a fugitive, possibly having committed additional crimes during his months of freedom. The man who had transformed from grieving father to relentless advocate now had a new mission, ensuring that his daughter's killer would eventually face the consequences of his actions. Somewhere in America, a predator was still free. Kevin Johnson would not rest until that changed. Felicia Johnson's case exposed fractures in the American justice system that extend far beyond one family's tragedy. Her story became a mirror reflecting uncomfortable truths about how society values different lives, how quickly cases can slip through bureaucratic cracks, and how justice often depends more on public pressure than police procedure. The initial police response revealed a troubling pattern that community activists had been documenting for years. When Quanell X raised his voice about Felicia's disappearance, he noted that 4 other young black women involved in adult entertainment had gone missing in Houston over the previous 5 months. All 4 had been found dead. All 4 cases had experienced similar investigative delays. The pattern suggested something more systemic than individual incompetence. Young women of color, particularly those involved in sex work or adult entertainment, seemed to occupy a lower tier of police priorities. Their disappearances generated less urgency, fewer resources, and smaller search teams than cases involving women who fit different demographic profiles. Kevin Johnson's experience illustrated how families are often forced to become their own investigators. The private detective he hired immediately accomplished what police hadn't prioritized, locating Felicia's phone. Community volunteers found her purse. Family pressure generated the media attention that finally motivated law enforcement action. This case also demonstrated how digital evidence has revolutionized criminal investigations, while simultaneously revealing how traditional policing often fails to adapt quickly enough. Chukwuebuka's internet searches provided a clear window into his premeditation. Yet he was initially arrested and released despite this evidence being available. The role of community activism proved crucial in multiple ways. Quanell X's public pressure forced police attention. Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee's political influence opened doors that grieving families couldn't access alone. Social media campaigns kept Felicia's story alive when official investigations stalled. Perhaps most significantly, Felicia's case highlighted the vulnerability of women seeking economic opportunities in industries that society simultaneously consumes and stigmatizes. Her decision to meet Chukwuebuka wasn't born from desperation or naivety. It was a calculated economic choice made by an adult woman trying to build her future. The stigma surrounding sex work creates a protection gap that predators exploit. Women in these industries face increased danger, partly because society's moral judgments make them less likely to report crimes and less likely to receive adequate police protection when they do. Digital platforms have created new spaces for these encounters, but law enforcement training and protocols haven't always kept pace with how crimes now unfold across apps, social media, and encrypted communications. Felicia's story became a rallying cry for treating all victims with equal dignity, regardless of their choices or circumstances. Her father's advocacy helped establish that a woman's profession doesn't determine her worth, and that justice shouldn't depend on a victim's perceived respectability. Today, as this story reaches your screen, Chukwuebuka Nwobodo remains a fugitive. Nearly 2 years have passed since he disappeared into the shadows of America, carrying with him the knowledge of what happened in that Richmond Avenue apartment and possibly the locations of other victims whose photos were found on his phone. He could be anywhere, working under a false name, living in one of those 15 cheapest places he researched before fleeing, possibly targeting other young women who have no idea they're encountering a predator with a history of calculated violence. The FBI continues to seek information about his whereabouts. His photograph circulates through law enforcement databases and social media campaigns. Someone, somewhere, has seen this face. Someone knows where he is. If you recognize Chukwuebuka Nwobodo, if you have information about his location, if you've encountered someone matching his description, contact Houston Police Department immediately at 713-308-3600 or Crime Stoppers at 713-222-8477. Your call could prevent another family from enduring what Kevin Johnson has survived. Felicia's case also serves as a crucial reminder for women navigating similar situations. Trust your instincts, share your location with friends, verify identities before meeting strangers. The digital tools that can facilitate dangerous encounters can also provide safety networks when used strategically. Kevin Johnson's vision for his daughter's legacy extends beyond catching her killer. He dreams of establishing a foundation in Felicia's name, one dedicated to supporting women who have been forced into exploitative situations, providing resources for those seeking to leave dangerous circumstances, and advocating for policies that protect rather than stigmatize vulnerable women. This foundation represents something Felicia herself would have supported: the belief that every woman deserves safety, dignity, and the right to pursue her dreams without fear. The maintenance worker who found Felicia's remains in that Texas forest couldn't have known he was giving a father the chance to finally lay his daughter to rest. But his discovery also gave all of us something else: a reminder that justice delayed doesn't have to mean justice denied. Felicia Marie Johnson was 24 years old. She was a daughter, a sister, a friend, and a dreamer whose life mattered. She came to Houston seeking opportunity and encountered evil, but her story doesn't end with her death. It continues with every person who shares her case, every tip that brings investigators closer to her killer, and every effort to ensure that other young women don't suffer her fate. Felicia's voice may have been silenced, but her story demands to be heard. Justice for Felicia Johnson remains unfinished business.
What could possibly prompt someone to kill a TikTok star in the middle of a live stream, with thousands of viewers watching in real time? This is the chilling question that haunts the case of Nia Gang, a rising social media sensation whose life was tragically cut short in a shocking act of violence. Nia Gang, whose real name was Xavier Foga, had amassed a following of nearly 250,000 devoted fans on TikTok. To his audience, he was a charismatic and relatable figure, known for his blend of humor, music, and heartwarming moments shared with his young daughter. His content offered a glimpse into the life of a talented, God-fearing individual who used his platform to spread positivity and support others. However, on a seemingly ordinary evening in December 2024, Nia's vibrant life would be extinguished in the most unimaginable way. As he went live on TikTok, unaware of the horrors that were about to unfold, Nia had no idea that his loyal followers were about to witness a tragedy of unparalleled proportions. What started as a typical live stream would soon spiral into a shocking and disturbing turn of events, one that would leave the TikTok community and the world at large grappling with unanswered questions and a profound sense of grief. The details of Nia Gang's final moments, and the chilling circumstances surrounding his death, are a haunting reminder of the hidden dangers that can lurk within the realm of social media stardom. Welcome to True Crime Tales HQ. I sincerely thank you, my esteemed viewers, most especially my subscribers, for your endless support. At True Crime Tales HQ we share true told and untold crime stories. Please don't forget to subscribe if you are yet to subscribe to this channel. It was a seemingly ordinary Saturday night in St. Catherine, Jamaica, when Xavier Nia Gang Foga decided to go live on TikTok, unaware that he was about to become the unwitting star of a horrifying real-life drama. Thousands of his devoted followers tuned in, eager to catch a glimpse of the charismatic creator they had grown to love. Little did they know that the events that were about to unfold would haunt them forever. As Nia's live stream began, he was matched with another TikTok creator, known as Arzan. What started as playful banter soon took a strange turn, as Arzan made a series of eerie comments that sent chills down the spines of Nia's viewers. "I know where Nia is," Arzan announced, his voice laced with a chilling certainty. "And I know that gunshots are coming soon." Nia, initially unfazed, even laughed off the ominous remarks. But then, something shifted in the background of the stream. Shadowy figures, barely visible but unmistakably present, began to emerge. Nia's cousin, seated nearby, noticed them first and without a word, bolted from the scene. Nia quickly followed suit, his expression now etched with a growing sense of unease. The camera continued to roll, capturing the haunting sounds that followed, the unmistakable crack of gunfire. Panicked messages flooded the live stream chat, as viewers watched in horror, unable to do anything but bear witness to the unfolding tragedy. And then, the screen went black. By the time the authorities arrived, the truth was undeniable. Xavier Nia Gang Foga lay lifeless in the yard, the victim of a brutal and calculated attack. His life, so full of promise and potential, had been snuffed out in a matter of seconds, all while the world watched in stunned disbelief. What could have driven someone to commit such a heinous act, and why did they choose to strike while Nia was live streaming for all to see? These are the questions that have left Nia's fans, family, and the entire TikTok community reeling in the aftermath of this unthinkable tragedy. As the investigation into Nia Gang's death continues, the world waits with bated breath, desperate for answers and seeking justice for the fallen star. But one thing is certain, the haunting events of that fateful night will forever be etched in the minds of all who bore witness to this senseless act of violence. What do you think could have motivated such a shocking crime? Share your thoughts and theories in the comments below, as we delve deeper into the mystery surrounding the tragic death of Nia Gang. In the wake of Nia Gang's tragic and untimely demise, the outpouring of grief, tributes, and demands for justice from his devoted fanbase and loved ones was nothing short of overwhelming. Heartfelt messages flooded his final TikTok post, where Nia had spoken with hope about the upcoming year, now forever tainted by the horrific manner of his passing. "Rest in peace, Nia," one fan wrote. "You didn't deserve this." Others expressed a profound sense of disbelief, their words laced with the raw emotion of having witnessed the unthinkable unfold in real time. "I watched it live. How could this happen?" their comments echoed, the sheer weight of the tragedy palpable. Nia's family, too, broke their silence just hours later, with a cousin sharing that the young TikTok star was a good man, always looking out for his daughter and those around him. They emphasized that he didn't deserve this, the pain of their loss evident in their words. The impact of Nia's death reverberated far beyond the digital realm, with vigils springing up in his neighborhood that very same evening. Neighbors gathered, lighting candles and placing flowers near the spot where the rising star had fallen, their collective grief a tangible presence in the air. Even prominent figures in the Jamaican entertainment industry, such as the renowned La Lewis, lent their voices to the chorus of outrage. Lewis called for justice, decrying the senseless violence that had claimed Nia's life and urging government officials and law enforcement not to ignore the incident. In a powerful gesture, the entertainer offered a $2 million reward for information leading to the arrest and conviction of those responsible. The reverberations of Nia Gang's death extended far beyond the borders of his home country, with international stars like Nicki Minaj joining the chorus of tributes.
So I DM'd you, but I don't know if you saw it. I want to talk to Naya's baby mother, if that's possible, or Naya's mother. Can you send me their contact information in the DM?
Definitely.
Because I want to give it directly to, and I want to make sure it goes directly to his daughter, and I want to talk to his daughter. So that's all I wanted to say, okay?
All right, Queen, definitely. Maybe make that possible, okay?
All right, blessings. Thank you.
All right, have a great day.
Minaj, herself a powerful voice in the music industry, expressed her heartbreak over the senseless loss of a young life so full of promise, her words echoing the sentiments of Nia's countless fans around the world. But the reaction was not just one of grief, it was also one of outrage. Viewers demanded answers, not just about who pulled the trigger, but how such a horrifying crime could have unfolded in the public eye of a live stream. Many raised pressing questions about the safety of platforms like TikTok, wondering how Nia's location could have been so easily traced and targeted. This tragedy, they argued, was more than just the loss of a rising star, it was a wake-up call about the hidden dangers that lurk within the world of social media fame, where the thirst for likes and validation can come at the highest of costs. Nia's story had become a cautionary tale, a stark reminder of the fragility of life and the need for greater protections for those who choose to share their lives with the world. As the investigation into Nia Gang's murder continued, the questions only seemed to multiply, leaving his fans, friends, and the global community grappling with the weight of this senseless act of violence. What could have driven someone to commit such a heinous crime, and why did they choose to strike while the world was watching? The answers, it seemed, remained elusive, haunting all who had borne witness to this unthinkable tragedy. As the shock waves of Nia Gang's tragic death reverberated through the TikTok community and beyond, investigators were left grappling with a perplexing mystery. How could such a senseless act of violence have claimed the life of a young man with no known criminal history or apparent enemies? The initial stages of the investigation were marked by a sense of confusion and bewilderment. Nia, by all accounts, had been a model citizen, a rising social media star known for his infectious positivity, his unwavering faith, and his devotion to his young daughter. His TikTok feed, a tapestry of humor, music, and heartwarming family moments, offered no clues that could have foreshadowed the brutal fate that awaited him. Yet, as the authorities delved deeper into Nia's life and the circumstances surrounding his death, a web of theories and speculations began to emerge, each more intriguing and unsettling than the last. Could it have been a case of jealousy, with a fellow TikTok creator harboring resentment towards Nia's growing success and influence? After all, the platform had become a fiercely competitive arena, where the pursuit of likes, shares, and followers could fuel intense rivalries and even darker impulses. Or perhaps the answer lay in the heated online battles that Nia had engaged in, his bold personality and unwavering confidence rubbing some the wrong way. In the cutthroat world of social media, where virtual feuds could quickly turn personal, could the roots of Nia's demise have been sown in the very digital landscape that had propelled him to stardom? And then, there was the chilling presence of Arzan, the TikTok creator who had been matched with Nia during the fateful live stream. Arzanziri comments, his apparent foreknowledge of the impending violence only served to deepen the mystery, leaving investigators and the public alike grasping for answers. As the days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months, the lack of progress in the investigation only fueled the frustration and despair felt by Nia's family and his devoted fanbase. The questions continued to mount, each one more perplexing than the last. Who was responsible for this heinous act, and what could have been their motive? Were there any leads, any clues that could unravel the tangled web of this tragedy? The silence from the authorities only added to the anguish, as Nia's loved ones and the global community that had embraced him yearned for justice and closure. The void left by his absence was palpable, a constant reminder of the fragility of life and the harsh realities that can lurk within the seemingly boundless world of social media. What do you think could have motivated such a shocking crime? Could it have been the work of a jealous rival, or were there deeper, more sinister forces at play? Share your theories and insights in the comments below, as we continue to grapple with the unanswered questions surrounding the tragic death of Nia Gang. In the wake of Nia Gang's tragic demise, the spotlight has been cast upon the inherent risks and perils that can lurk within the realm of social media fame. Nia's meteoric rise to prominence on TikTok, fueled by his infectious personality, relatable content, and devoted fanbase, had undoubtedly been a source of immense pride and fulfillment for the young creator. Yet, as his star continued to ascend, the very platform that had propelled him to success would also expose him to a multitude of unseen dangers that would ultimately prove to be his undoing. Nia's TikTok presence, a carefully curated window into his life, had undoubtedly been a double-edged sword. On one hand, it had allowed him to connect with his audience in a deeply personal way, sharing the joys and triumphs of his daily life. But on the other, it had also served as a virtual breadcrumb trail, leading those with more nefarious intentions directly to his doorstep. The very act of live streaming, a staple of Nia's content, had unwittingly made him vulnerable, stripping away the protective layers of privacy and exposing him to the unforgiving gaze of the digital world. In that fateful moment, as the camera continued to roll, Nia's location had become all too apparent, a fatal flaw that would ultimately prove to be his undoing. But the dangers of social media fame extend far beyond the physical realm. The psychological toll of constant competition, the relentless pursuit of likes and shares, and the ever-present fear of falling out of favor can take a heavy toll on the mental well-being of creators like Nia. The pressure to maintain a curated image, to constantly one-up their peers, can fuel a toxic cycle of envy, resentment, and even violence. As the investigation into Nia's death continues, the broader implications of this tragedy have become increasingly clear. The blurred lines between online conflicts and real-world violence have been brought into sharp focus, forcing us to confront the sobering reality that the virtual world we inhabit is not as detached from physical reality as we might like to believe. The death of Nia Gang serves as a haunting reminder that the price of social media stardom can be far higher than anyone could have imagined. It is a cautionary tale that challenges us to rethink the ways in which we navigate the digital landscape, to prioritize safety and well-being over the fleeting allure of likes and shares. As we grapple with the aftermath of this tragedy, we must ask ourselves, what can be done to better protect the Nia Gangs of the world, those who have chosen to share their lives with the world, only to have that very decision lead to their untimely demise? It is a question that demands our collective attention, for the stakes have never been higher. What are your thoughts on the dangers of social media fame, and how can we work to create a safer, more supportive environment for content creators? Share your insights and perspectives in the comments below, as we strive to honor Nia's memory and prevent such senseless tragedies from occurring in the future. The tragic loss of Xavier Nia Gang Foga has left an indelible mark on the TikTok community. Nia's life was snatched away in unimaginable circumstances, leaving his loved ones and fans grappling with grief and disbelief. Nia's story is a cautionary tale, reminding us that the pursuit of social media fame can expose creators to unseen dangers. The blurred lines between the virtual and physical realms have never been more apparent. As we honor Nia's memory, it is imperative to address the pressing issues surrounding the safety and well-being of content creators. Platforms must be held accountable, and robust safety measures must be implemented. We invite you to share your thoughts and insights in the comments below. Together, we can work towards a safer, more supportive environment for all who dare to share their stories with the world. Like and share this video, and subscribe to our channel for more stories exploring the complexities of the digital age. Let us honor Nia's legacy and work towards a future where the pursuit of social media fame is not overshadowed by tragedy.